Hi everyone, my name is Adama and I'm here to talk about science stuff. So this is me introducing my new series called Bench to Bedside. What is Bench to Bedside, you may ask? Bench to Bedside is a heavily used phrase in the scientific community that is used to describe research that has the aim of translating from the lab to direct clinical and patient benefit. So when I first started my science journey, which was now a while ago, I was really fascinated by this idea of having an idea and understanding a simple process, and how an understanding of that simple process can go into treating disease, making disease processes easier, or just understanding how the human body works. In this series, it will be me talking about research from the bench to the bedside. And this is often a really complex process. So sometimes I'll focus on things that are very bench-like, so ideas that are just popping up, things that people are playing around with, and then I'll go into things that are very bench related. I think I said that right in the right order, and go into things that are in clinical trials and closer to human use and consumption. In this series, I hope to talk about research on the length of a bench to bedside, and sometimes I will focus on things that are closer to the bench, and sometimes I'll focus on things that are closer to the bedside. So video we'll be talking about male contraceptives. So contraceptives, men, you don't really, equate the two. So for men, there are only 3 contraceptives available. So really and truly, there are only two options, maybe one. And for women, there are loads of options. So that, I guess, leaves the burden of contraceptives or taking contraceptives on women. So the motivation behind this video is that I was just annoyed that it didn't exist, and I was like, oh, I want to know why. So here it is, here I am explaining. So keyword time. What makes, or just key question time, or question time. What makes a good contraceptive for men? So in the reproductive cycle, sperm is very important. So a good contraceptive will stop the production of sperm. And what is the scientific word for that? Hopefully I say this right. It's called azoospermia, which is when a man's semen doesn't have any sperm. So that is what contraceptives are trying to do, or that is what the contraceptives that are being developed are aiming to do. And a big problem that has come about, I guess, within research, or a big question, is just the reversibility of it. So people do not want the permanent treatment, which is a vasectomy. So in this video, I'm looking at 2 review papers. And what is a review paper? So a review paper is something that looks at all the research that's been going on within a specific field, and then kind of gives you like the gist of it, the tea, like, just tells you like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what is happening, and this is what I think, or this is where I think is going in the future. And then some of them kind of focus on a specific treatment, especially if it's really advanced, or there's been a lot of research within one specific thing, because research can get very streamlined and focused. So in this video, I'm focusing on 2 review papers, and one uses a method that is kind of, I guess, similar. It's like a reversible vasectomy, like same concept. And then the second one is a gel, and that's more hormonal. So yeah, if you want to learn more, if you want to figure out why men don't have a contraceptive, and figure out will a contraceptive be released, continue watching. Talking about the first paper talks about this method called reversible inhibition of sperm under guidance, and this is a procedure where the authors of the paper have described that they inject a liquid into the vas deferens, which is where a sperm comes out, so kind of blocking that area. But it's not like this sticky type of gel thing. The way it works, it changes the pH or lowers the pH, and thereby renders the sperm infertile, if that's the word. Like, so they do the thing, the thing is azoospermia, so you get that final result. And this specific paper was really interesting because they've been doing this research for close to 40 years, or at least 35 years, and they have gone through the initial trials, which are phase 1 trials, and then you go to phase 2, phase 3. So in their phase 1 trials, they trialed this method of inhibition of sperm in animals, and they were able to prove that that worked and that happened. So then what they went on to do is, okay, after they figured out this is what happens and this is how it works, they went on to do their trials in humans. So the human trials had different phases, which was quite interesting. So the first phase was you had a group of men that underwent the procedure, so the reversible inhibition of sperm under guidance. And then they had these two groups, this group of sterile men and sterile women, and they were just trying to see if there are any side effects from this procedure on the men. And in this trial, nobody got pregnant, so none of the women, obviously they were sterilized, sorry. And then moving on from that, you had phase 2 trials, which went into looking at a larger group of men, but in this group their partners were not sterilized. So this was like the real test of, does this work? And so what happened, in the group there were no pregnancies again, which shows that the method worked, and it was also a reversible method, because after the phase 1 trials, to prove safety, they followed these people for up to 2 years or longer just to see how they are, what happened, what didn't happen, before they moved on to phase 2 trials. So in the phase 2 trials now, with the non-sterilized women, I think only one woman ended up pregnant. Finally, they did larger studies, or phase 3 trials, which included approximately 350 people. And in this trial, it was also successful and showed that men, remember the key word, had or showed, if that's how you describe it, azoospermia. So their semen had no sperm in it. And that was good. That was great. Contraceptive made. But now I guess you guys might be thinking, like, what the hell are the side effects, and how did men deal with that? So of the final phase 3 trials, side effects, like, there weren't really any side effects, and the main findings from this paper, which is quite great, is that men achieved, keyword, azoospermia 2.5 months after they had the injection. After 2.5 months, 92.6% of the participants had, keyword, azoospermia, and after 6 months, 96.7%. So it was really like successful procedure. So now that we've talked about the first contraceptive method, that kind of replicates or is similar to a vasectomy, we'll now, but is reversible, key. We'll go into the second one that kind of looks at the hormonal aspects of contraception. So the first one, kind of the idea behind it was to stop sperm being in the semen by like blocking and altering pH and not really affecting processes. But this gel, or this review paper, and focuses specifically on the gel because I guess it's the one most furthest along on the bench to bedside process. It went on and focused on targeting hormones that are important in the development of sperm, which is quite different, and for that reason there were quite a few side effects that were reported by the men, and one of the main side effects was acne. These side effects are quite similar to what is reported currently, like contraceptives that women take. So acne, you had mood swings, insomnia was one, and also a few headaches. I think key thing from this paper is that it was looked at, I guess, the progression of sperm, or the production of sperm in these men after 4 weeks, and it was shown to be reduced, not as much as the reversible sperm under guidance that I just explained, but it did work. So, to summarize the findings of this video, it's quite interesting to see that although contraceptives are needed, and in theory looks like it'll be easier to stop in men than in women, for many years, the development in male contraceptives has been quite slow and stagnant in some cases. But that also goes in to show that the scientific process isn't all about what is needed sometimes, because pharmaceutical companies, need to know that there's demand for a product, and at the end of the day, they're a business. They need to make money. If all this money is going into developing something, people need to use it. Why are we going to develop it if no one's going to use it? So agenda aside, because I'm like, oh no, men wouldn't use it, but a few surveys have shown that men are pretty open and receptive to having a contraceptive, but I think pharmaceuticals are still quite on the skeptical side of it. But hopefully it will be produced, especially the reversible one. I think that one is further along and could be used quite easily and doesn't seem like rocket science, so that's pretty cool. To end the video, what did we learn? We learned a key word, so azoospermia. We learned that a good contraceptive for men, reversibility is important, very, very, very important. I don't think they looked at that for the gel. And finally, demand. You need to have demand for a product. So if we really want to see the production of male contraceptives, we need to show the pharmaceutical industry that men need it and men should use it. But yeah, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and share it to everybody, and the next video will be out sometime soon.